welcome back to Truth Unfiltered, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome. Good to see you guys. Good to see you. Let's see, we've got a couple people here already. We have Miss Child Rose Sounds, and we have Brother Ryan from Jesus is Lord, 70 AD. Of course, we have Miss Amelia Petralia and Linda Smedley and Brother Joe Simone. Welcome, guys. Brother Jesus is Lord 70 AD says he says good to see you. This one is a bear to question. It's easier to talk about flat earth in public than this. And yes, you're absolutely right. When it comes to race, when it comes to nations, when it comes to countries, when it comes to the people of the world, it's always a touchy subject, right? You know, people always get offended, they always get butthurt, they always get in their emotions about these things, and I've often wondered why. You know, why does that matter? Why does it matter to you what you look like? And then I realized it's not necessarily so much what they look like so much as what they believe. What people believe is what ultimately matters. But then that begs the question, what do you believe? And why do you believe that? Is a question I ask every time I hear something new from anyone. And that's, who told you that? Who told you that? Like, where'd you hear that from? Like, where'd that information come from? Like, how'd you become aware of that? And often you'll find out that a lot of stuff that we believe and think we know comes from theories. Theories that are based around ideas that are formed off of other theories. And I get tired of theories. I get tired of theories because a theory is an imaginative thought. It's in someone's head. It's your imagination. It's what you imagine it something to be. In order for me to accept a theory, I have to accept what's in your head or in someone else's head. I have to trust in them. And that's the hard part, right? Blessings. Good to see you, Miss Trish Clark. Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's see. Someone else just hopped in, I believe. We got Brother Steve Oz and Brother Barry Burkholder. Brother Barry is on his way to India here in the next few days. He'll be heading across the world to spread the gospel across nations and across the world and the bodies of the land that we dwell on. Good to see you guys. Glad to have you guys here. Thank you guys for being here. I know I'm earlier than normal, and I know it's not a Tuesday or a Thursday. But I don't know how many months, weeks, or days I'll have available to come on here live and speak with you guys. As it turns out, here in the next few days, I'm going to be trying to acquire a new job. So my position in life, things will be changing, hopefully, for the better. It'll be good to start working again. But anyways, back to what I'm talking about here. Trusting in men. What should we trust? Like what's the difference between trust and faith? What is the difference between trust and faith? When I come on here and I start talking about politics, religion, race, this and that, all these things that people get bothered about, get upset about, want to manipulate you over, all these things, like what are we talking about? Where does that even come from? What's the point in this? You know, this whole endeavor of discovery of who we are and where we come from. But it's a thing that comes back to the Bible, no matter what angle you look at it from or come at it from. What we have here and what we have going on in the world right now, or especially in America, and this is to my American counterparts mainly, the America's areas, the Western peoples, but namely here in America. Let's see, what am I looking for? Here it is. I don't know if you guys can see this whole image here. Pull this up. Oh, that's big enough. It's big enough, I guess. Anyways, all right. What you see are 250 United States congressmen. There are 250 U.S. state legislators currently in Israel. This was not currently. This is from weeks ago, several weeks ago. It was back in September. That's what it's reading over here. Is what it says. What you have here is the largest in the most in-depth, the biggest takeover of the United States that's ever happened in the United States history. What we have is treason on a level that none of us really can even comprehend, to be honest, simply because most people are not going to do what these individuals are doing. What we have are 250 congressmen, people that are supposed to be representatives of you as an American here in America, and yet they have pledged their allegiance to a foreign power, a foreign government, a foreign body of people. Whether it, and this is the point I want to make. You guys saw that clip earlier. If you came here, well, if you got here in the beginning, you saw the clip that showed the Hitler speech. What I wanted you to see in that and hear in that is what he's talking about as far as the Jewish people, the Jewish nation, the whole reason for his, I guess, his issue with Israel, or not Israel, but the Jewish people. And to be clear, he's not calling them Israel. He's calling them the Jews. He's calling them Jewish people. But there's a reason for that. There's a reason that all these events that have taken place, World War I, World War II, all this stuff takes place, has happened, but it's not the reasons that we're taught or that we're told about. The Jewish people are just regular people like any one of us. I mean, they're just regular old people. Every one of us come from 3 people. That's it. 3. Ham, Shem, and Japheth. There's no more than that. You don't have a line of Cain running around here causing mayhem. You don't have any other lines. You just have those 3 lines. That's it. And from those 3 lines, we have all of us in the world today. But from each of those lines come different people or generations of people. And those generations of people are what turn into the people of today. But how did we get here? How did we get here, and how do we figure it out without being deceived? How do we figure it out in knowing who to trust and who to listen to? What avenues of thought do we need to entertain to really understand where we come from and who we are? Well, one thing I've learned is to question all men, people, anyone is telling you anything. Everything I'm telling you right now, the Rev, you should be questioning what I'm saying. Why did you say that, Rev? Who did you hear that from, Rev? Where did that come from? What put that thought in your mind? Right? Discernment. That's what that is. It's called discernment when you question what you're being taught or being told. We're told and taught that we are not supposed to question anything. We're just supposed to accept what we're being taught and accept what we're being told. It's the same concept that they try to blend in with the turning of the cheek. Turn the cheek, just let people do bad things to you. Just keep letting them. Just keep letting them and keep letting them, right? They want you to believe all that so that you will bow, bend, and accept their ways, accept their authority. It's like, I'm going to take over your home, and you have 2 choices. You can either let me do it, or you can try to stop me, but I'm taking over your home. That's essentially the same thing. Like, I'm giving you 2 choices, but neither choice are good for you. You still lose your home at the end of each choice, no matter what. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or if you're a Democrat or any of those modern political affiliations. Any of those people, they're all part of the same scheme. It'd be the same as if my brother and I decided to start a business, I start a business, he starts a business, and we're both selling the same product. Well, this week I'm selling my product a little higher than his, so everybody goes to his business and buys the same product. But we're both putting our money together, so whether I sell or he sells, we both are making money. But then the next week he turns his prices up a notch, and now my prices are the cheapest ones, and I'm getting all the money, and I'm selling all the products. That's how that works. It's the same process, same principle with the division in politics, the left versus the right, the Democrats versus the Republicans. What kind of an American are you? Are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? Well, I can tell you what kind of American I am. I'm a believer in Jesus. I simply follow Jesus. I follow Jesus, I study the scripture, and I stick to the word. If what anyone tells me, politics, politicians, world leaders, or anything, or anyone like that tells me anything that contradicts scripture, my first question to that person or them is, what's your goal? What's your agenda? Like, why do you believe the things you're believing? 250 U.S. congressmen have pledged their loyalty to the state of Israel, a government, a foreign power, not the 5 and 6-year-old children in Israel, not the 18 and 25-year-olds running around exploring their youth and their new lives. We're not talking about just the normal everyday citizens of Israel. Yet, while they may be normal everyday citizens, they're not all partakers in the big scheme, right? However, they still carry the same notion of belief. It's the same principle like here in America, where you got African Americans calling themselves African American. You're not from Africa. Like you didn't come from Africa. But regardless, doesn't matter. It's like it's the whole point that people are embedded in their brains and in their hearts an identity of who they are as an individual that has been built around false ideologies. It's been built around a false earth, a false space, a false religion, false doctrines, false history, false current events, false politics, false everything. It's all been made false. It's done that way. It was done that way to get you to buy into the ways that the system are. Let's see. Steve Oz says, great question, Rev. I'll try that. It's a little challenging. The good old divide and conquer technique. That's right. That's right. It's to keep you guys separated, and not just separated from each other, but separated from God. Where 2 or more gather in his name, he is present. How can he be present if there aren't, with 2 or more of us not together? If we're not coming together, his presence isn't going to be as felt as it is going to be you all by yourself in the world. Well, we're all by ourselves because we don't know who to trust. We don't know who to believe. Well, I could tell you right now, anyone on television, here I am. You can call this television, I guess, but this is who you don't believe. Anyone on television, these politicians, if these guys that are running for office, they don't serve your benefits. They don't serve your interests. They don't serve your needs. What they're doing is serving their own interests, their own service to themselves. Just like all people in the world, most all people in the world serve themselves first. Most people put themselves even before the Satan that they really serve, thinking that that's what they're doing, when really anything you put before God is Satan, even your own self. The love of money is what has led to a lot of this stuff, this divide, but this takeover of America, this whole idea that America was never great or that it can be great again, that there's a need to implement worldly values into the American society or American culture is just ridiculous. And as I'm saying American, remember I'm referring to the entire West, the Western society. But the thing is, like, this American way, it's not an American way, or at least it wasn't never intended to be like that. It's not pride and loyalty to a country you're supposed to have. We're supposed to be following Christ, and in doing that, we love each other and we treat each other with respect. We help each other. We look out for each other. We don't sit there and watch people struggle when we have the means and ability to help them. Well, the problem is we live in a world where people will take help but not produce anything from that. They'll just take and take and take. Those people do that are what we would call poor people, right? Well, at the same time, they're no different than these people, these 250 people who aren't poor, because they're taking from you as well. And they'll take and take and take, but they'll never give. They're never going to give you what you want or what you need. Let me rephrase that. They may give you what you want. You think that anyways, but they'll never give you what you need. I don't care when I hear politicians talking about energy policies, for example. You know, we're gonna make paying electric bills cheaper on people. We're gonna help the cost of water and this and that and water and cost of energy. Like, I don't really care that you're even having that conversation, governor, congressman, or any of those type folks, simply because who the hell are you? Like, why are y'all affecting the energy and power? Why are you limiting and restricting it anyways? It should be free and available to everyone. And that's the thing, right? Energy and power, you make it free to people, and then what happens? Everybody becomes lazy and just sits around and does nothing because there's nothing to do anymore. Well, that's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous notion. It's a ridiculous mindset. But essentially, that's what all this boils down to. 250 congressmen have sold their souls to the state of Israel. They've sold you and me to the state of Israel. Sold our country. Sold who we are. This whole nation has been taken over. And this is the largest, like I said, this is the largest takeover of in our country that we've ever seen. Let's see if I can play this.
So my dad, a Republican state senator in New Mexico, just got back from his trip to Israel, which was not like a personal vacation, by the way. It was him and a bunch of his other Republican cronies who got invited to Israel for what I can only assume was just like a propaganda trip. So yeah, it looks like my dad and a bunch of other just like loser politicians from New Mexico went to meet with Netanyahu, and I don't know what they could possibly discuss. I mean, again, it's my dad and a bunch of...
Yeah, what could they be discussing? Why is anybody that's representing me going over to another country, hanging out with a president over there, talking about changing things for me and affecting things for me over here? Like, why is he having this discussion? This lady's talking about her father. She's tattling on her own dad. This dude, Jay Block, whoever he is, over there in was that Arizona? I think that's where she's from. Whatever that senator's name. I don't keep up with all their names because they're not in the Bible, so they're not that important to me. But they're important to most people in the world. But why are these people over there? Why are you over there? What are you doing over there? Come home and do your job over here, or quit, or step down is what he needs to do. All of these politicians should do that. Problem is, they're not going to do that, because if they do that, then the system goes away.
of other like state senators and state reps, which, like, how does meeting with Netanyahu help the local people of New Mexico.
Yeah, New Mexico,
But yeah,
not
I genuinely
Arizona.
believe that Israel is like paying my dad now to like peddle propaganda, because he also posted this like super long tweet that's like basically dissertation length that I'm not even gonna I couldn't even take a screenshot of it and get even half of it. Like that would take like 4 screenshots to get the entire thing. So if you want to check it out, I guess go to his Twitter profile. But he was basically just peddling all of this Israeli propaganda, saying that the genocide is a lie and that like civilians aren't being killed and the IDF is doing everything they can to like minimize.
It's just ridiculous what they're talking about. The genocide of an entire people. It's just it's unreal. It's unreal what they've got going on. Check this out.
50 states, one Israel. What is that?
Exactly. 50 states, one Israel. What is that? Like, I mean, are we American or are we Israel? Like, and to be clear, when we say Israel in this context, even they themselves, they're not Israel of the Bible. They're not the same Israel that crucified Jesus. They're not those Israelites. They're a different group of people. They're from the synagogues. They're the ones who kind of basically adopted the Hebrew and Jewish ways, and they did so under the understanding that it's kind of like, being God's chosen people, that's the way to be, right? You know, that's who you want to be. So they kind of take over it to adopt that philosophy of thought that they're God's chosen people, and it makes them better than everyone else. And if they can teach that to their kids and their kids and their kids, eventually it'll come about. Exactly. Revelation 2:9-3:9, Steve. That's right. Revelation 2:9-3:9, it says they that call themselves Jews, that are not, but do lie. Revelation 2:9. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. That was in Revelation 2, chapter 2, verse 9. And then you got, like he said, chapter 3, verse 9 as well. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. These are the people that the people that are claiming themselves to be Jews today. These are the same. This is the same spirit at work within them that was in the spirit of these Jews here. Now, the reason I say that these Jews we're reading about in Revelation and in the Bible are not necessarily the same Jews that are in the state of Israel today is because, well, Babylon fell, right? Babylon had fallen. It was destroyed. And but coming out of Babylon is where these Jews that we read about were at. That's where they were, in Babylon. Then Babylon was destroyed. Then you had the millennial reign. We had 1,000 years of peace and Jesus on earth. You can call it whatever empire you want to call it, whatever kingdom you want to call it, but it's 1,000 years goes by. After that 1,000 years, we have the loosing of Satan. And this is the thing that I think JT follows JC nails perfectly, is that it was like a whisper. When the loosening of Satan began, it wasn't boom, overnight, we're all deceived. Like today, we all know Jesus is here, and tomorrow we don't even know if Jesus existed. Like, it didn't happen like that. We don't go from knowing a thing or two, or knowing everything, or knowing what we need to know, to just suddenly dumb and don't know nothing. That's not how a deception works. That's not how the little season has worked. What happened, though, is it's taken hundreds of years to deceive all the nations. The reason it's taken hundreds of years is because people fought to maintain the course of reality that existed after the millennial reign. And from that, that's where you get all your wars, all your little battles, your battles here, your battle of this, your battle of that, your War of 1812, your Civil War, your Revolutionary Wars, your French Revolution, Spanish Wars, all these different wars that come about over the last 500 years come about to shut people up like me, for example. Like me doing this, if I were alive 500 years ago, I wouldn't be on YouTube, right? We wouldn't be on YouTube talking. We would be out in the public having these conversations, talking, saying, hey, look, this ain't good. That dude over there, he's trying to be our governor. Why does he want to be our governor? Why does that dude want to govern me? Why is that dude trying to be in charge of you and me right now? Like, what's going on? Isn't Jesus in charge of us? And then that dude gets shunned away and put in, and ran off, gets kicked out of town. Then what ends up happening, that fella comes back years later. Maybe it ain't him. Maybe it's his son or his grandson. Comes back years later when the next few generations have lightened up a little bit. Times get easier. People get weak. When times get hard, that's when people get strong and tough. Right now, we're going through what I believe is the eye of the storm. What we're dealing with right now in the world is the moments before the last calamity, the moments before the last major event, before the return of Jesus Christ. And I'm not talking about the return where he comes and gets rid of an Antichrist figure, casts the beast and all that. It's when all men on earth are dead. I think we all die. I think that's the way it goes. Whether we die of old age or die of battle horrifically, doesn't matter, really. It doesn't last 70 years. It doesn't last 40 years. It doesn't last 500 years. Whenever this final moment comes, it's quick and it happens fast. When I say quick, it's quick and fast to me is a few years. Maybe even 10 or 15 years is still quick or fast to me, especially when you consider the span of time. It's quick and fast. It's not going to be like tribulation where we're getting carried off and eaten by horse-sized locusts. That doesn't happen. America's not going to break off from the land that it's attached to and slide around and find itself 100,000 miles west or east from where it's located today. None of that happens. But what's going to happen is we have the end of all time. Not all time. I mean, not for you and me. Like our understanding of existence, our recognition of ourselves, our self-awareness will always exist. Whether we're in hell, the lake of fire, or in heaven, or in the new world, your existence, your consciousness will always exist. It may not exist in this body, this flesh these bodysuits that we wear. Your consciousness may leave that one day, but it'll always exist. It's why it's so important that we don't fail in this life. So when and if we do end up in judgment, we don't go to the lake of fire because it's all eternity. Well, Steve says, Rev, could they be preparing an army for the war of Gog and Magog? That's the thing. They're trying to turn it into a global war, civil war. Like it's the whole world versus everyone versus everyone. Here's a prediction for you though, and then I'm gonna carry on with the next little slide here or next tab. But here's a prediction for you. I predict that Donald Trump is gonna be our next president again. He'll run again in 2028. He'll win. He'll get elected in some form or another. Whether they gotta bend the rules or not doesn't matter. He's gonna win. And things are going to get really they're going to seem like they're kind of smoothing out for just a hair nudge. And then around 2030, it's going to be over with. Whatever his position, whatever his role is in the current events of the world stage, his role will be fulfilled in 2030. After 2030, there won't be a nation on earth that looks anything like it looks today. It's all going to be different. People are going to be different. I mean, the mindsets of people is going to be different. But that means what I'm saying is we got about 4 years of this, people talking about the truth, talking about the little season, talking about all the things that are deceiving us. I've got to get something for this chair that's rolling around on me. Let's see. Remote control army using nanotech. That's a good one, actually. That's a pretty good one. What was I looking at right here? Ted Cruz. See, this is just another example. Ted Cruz, I came to the Senate committed to being the leading defender of Israel. Senator, what are you doing committing to Israel? Why? What are you defending Israel for? Who's bothering Israel? Israel's bothering other people. No one's bothering Israel. They're just trying to be left alone by them. They've already taken land that didn't belong to them, and now they're living in a place that everybody seems to think is America. I mean, not America, but Israel for some reason. So it's a weird thing. This little place of land. Look how big that is. That's a lot, right? You got the Gaza right there where the Gaza Strip is. There's Israel. This is supposed to be Israel. This area. It's like Arizona or New Mexico or something like that. It's like, I mean, there's really not a whole lot going on out there. But what I believe is what they're trying to do. This is what their goal is. Their goal is not to stay here. Bet that. Their goal is not to stay in this desert area right here along this border. Well, only place that's nice is in green is right here along the edge of this body of water, right? Their plan is not to stay here. I guarantee you what their plan is. Their plan is to come over here and take over this whole land and have you and me run off of it. That's what their plan is. It's not going to happen like that. That's never going to happen. They'll have to kill me, I guess. Jerusalem, West Bank, Israel. This little bitty place. Little bitty place. It's a little bitty spot on earth. But what's weird, see how big Africa is? It's the same size as South America, same size as North America, just about. This is why this is all wrong. It's wrong because these lands are not the size that they tell us. This is Africa. Like America could fit inside of Africa 10 times almost. It's that big. Like the rest of the world, the rest of the land. It's that big. But how did we get here? How did we get to this point? How did we get to the point where we have senators over here? I came to the Senate committed to being the leading defender of Israel. Okay, cool. I'm all about defending weak people. People that can't defend themselves, people that need help. I'm all about that. Someone is picking on a smaller country, a smaller group of people. Yeah, I'm all for stepping in and helping them out, right? But that's not what he's saying. It looks like that's what he's saying, but that's not what he's saying. What he's talking about is exactly what he's talking about.
But then
is what they're talking about right here.
Since I've become a member of Congress since 2021, we have voted on 22 resolutions for Israel, 22 of them. All kinds of resolutions, denouncing anti-Semitism, supporting Israel. We voted on 22 of those. We never vote on resolutions proclaiming great things about America or defending certain Americans or defending Americans in general. but we have voted on 22 resolutions in the House defending Israel.
How many of you voted yes on?
I don't know my exact record. The last one I voted no on, and then the one before that I voted present because I just started getting sick of it.
Well, that's kind of it. I mean, I've always noticed this, certainly in the last, I don't know how many years it's been, a while, where Republicans in the Congress are, always talking about Israel. I'm not against Israel. I've always liked Israel, so haven't really noticed it. Okay, fine. Love
Right.
Israel.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Like we love the people in Israel. Even if they hate us, even if they want nothing to do with us, even if they want to get rid of us, doesn't matter. They're our enemies or they're our brothers. It's one of the two. Brothers and sisters or enemies. Plain and simple. But we can love our enemies, and we do. As Christians, we're supposed to, and we should. And so we love our enemies. We love the people in the current state of Israel, right? We love them. Just like we love anyone who hates us, who's against us. We love them. Nothing wrong with loving them. It's supporting them. It's putting up with them. It's allowing them to do the things aren't good. It's like I wouldn't let a kid or kids come over to my house to hang out with my kid, if those kids are trying to get my kid to ignore me and disobey me, I would tell those other kids, you got to go home. Go home, go to your daddy's house. Let you disobey your daddy. You're not going to sit here in my house and disobey and teach my kid to disobey his father. And it's not about obeying me, right? It's about respect. It's honoring thy father and mother. That's what I'm referring to.
Love any country, whatever. But it feels like something has changed. Like why? And clearly it has for you. What is that thing?
Well, I think here's the situation. It's coming to a point where it's so obvious all the time in everyone's language, the social media posts they put out, the statements that they make. They have to proclaim Israel. They have to proclaim their faith and loyalty in Israel and how Israel is our greatest ally. And it's a statement that has to be made over and over and over again, to the point it's becoming like, wait a minute, what about our own country? What about our own people? And we have...
Yeah, like I said, like, what about our own people? And all I'm saying is, like, as an American, what right do I have to be governing the affairs and daily lives of people in other countries? I have no right to do that. And just like Israel, we don't have a right to go in there and tell the people of Israel, hey, you're not really God's chosen people. I mean, they have a right to believe whatever they want to believe. Now, it's on us to try to reach out to them, but it's on them to want to know the truth. It's on any one person, right? It doesn't matter if you're Israel or if you're an American or if you're Mexican or Chinese or anybody. It doesn't matter who you are. Seeking the truth is on you. Like, that's your responsibility to seek out the truth. If you're here at Truth Unfiltered, you're here for the same reason that I started this channel. You were seeking the truth, and it led you to the point that now you found me here. Hey, another fella seeking the truth, so you're now watching me. That's how we linked up. It's how we have come to be in association with each other. Well, it's the same way with anything else. The truth is what led us here, but you got to want the truth. And yeah, there are people in Israel that are probably decent people, that they would probably, I know that there are Jewish people that would take the shirt off their back and give it to anybody. There are some decently good people in the world, just as in the Christian community, with all these false doctrines, these Baptists and Methodists and Seventh-day Adventists and all that other mess, these Mormons and Gideons, whatever. All these false doctrines, they're still our brothers and sisters. They still love Christ. They may not see the same Christ. They may not see him exactly as we do, but we love them either way. You know, we love them and we want what's best for them. We don't want them to be hurting and suffering and struggling. We want to help them. But that's a weird thing about it, ain't it? When it comes to the Little Caesars, it seems like we're the only Christian community on the planet that seems to feel this way. Every other group of people wants to help people at the expense of benefiting from it, as long as they gain something out of it. You know, my channel can grow or not grow. I can tell you what, though, between me and you subscribers and the ones that watch me, running this channel does not help me in the real world at all. It does the opposite of that. Running this channel makes it hard for me to get work. It makes it hard for me to find people that'll let me work with them. It makes it tough speaking the truth. You know, and that's why I say I don't know how much time I'll have available to be able to make these videos or go live and do all this, because they do make it tough, and it ain't just they is not a particular specific group of people. They are anyone who is anti-Christ in my mind. You can call it what you want, but if the way you behave is the opposite of my Christ, the way he would have us behave, then you are anti-Christ. And no, I'm not talking about our little imperfections, you know, where we get angry or get upset or make a mistake. That's not what I'm talking about. People can make mistakes and still have good intentions. And that's the point that I was trying to make about our fellow brothers and sisters in Christ. They can talk. I mean, they have their own little, you know, thoughts about their beliefs and whatnot, and that's fine. That they don't know or do or think they know more or better or whatever. What matters is what is in their heart. You know, what was their intention behind their thoughts and their beliefs. The world gets fixated on race and politics and religion because those are the options that we're given to be aggravated and angry over, to be divided over. Race, politics, religion. Race, politics, religion. There you go. Well, pick one, whichever one, but you're not going to be able to have all of them, right? You can't, not successfully. That's how they do it. But we're not supposed to pick from the options that are presented to us by these people, by men, women, servants of that are supposed to be serving us, that are actually serving themselves. We're not supposed to.
So many problems here in America, and we talk about this all the time. $37 trillion in debt. Just like you and I were speaking before, our kids' generations. My kids are 22, 25, and 27. And our children's generation, they can't afford rent. They can't afford to buy a house. They can't afford insurance. They can't buy a new car. They can't find a good paying job. They're living month to month, paycheck to paycheck, credit card bills stacked up. And they literally look to the future going, how am I ever going to realize the American dream? And it seems hopeless for them. But then in Congress, everyone is chasing and pursuing and proclaiming their loyalty to a foreign country.
Yep, that's right, Miss Kim. He does. You can kind of see it right. This is watch, I think. Where is this? Where is that other? Does he show it in this? I don't think we can see it. But you're right. He does always wear that bracelet. Just a little symbol that they to let us know who they really serve and who they're really working for. You know, there's a thing that I've heard before, and people have mentioned and talked about it, that there was a quote by Robert Patton where he was saying that don't fight, saying something about that we fought the wrong enemy. It said, but here it says we've defeated the wrong enemy. It's unknown if Patton ever said these precise words. However, Anthony K. Brown notes in Bodyguard of Lies, Volume 2, 1975, that Patton was relieved of command of the Third Army by Eisenhower just after the end of the war for stating publicly that America had been fighting the wrong enemy, Germany instead of Russia. The accuracy of the book is disputed. Now, of course it's disputed. I mean, the people that are the conquerors, they write the story, right? They write the narrative. So of course it's going to be disputed. Just like today, if I said anything that goes against the historical narrative that most people have come to agree to and learn, they're going to dispute what I'm saying, plain and simple. But what am I getting at? Like, why am I showing you this? Like, what am I getting at with this? Well, it's because I want to go over this. The lines of Ashkenaz from the sons of Noah. The line of Ashkenaz is a line that came from the line of Japheth. It says, now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and to these were sons born after the flood. Japheth's line, the sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tyrus. Gomer and Magog. This is where we get the German and the Jews, before the the 1948 Jews and all these people. So these are those people here. It's where they come from. I'm about to get into that. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz. Gomer, his son, was Ashkenaz. Ashkenaz's uncle would have been Magog, right? But from Ashkenaz, we're going to get Gog, but out of Magog, but out of here is where we get Magog. And Togarmah, Genesis 10:3 and 1, 1 Chronicles 1:6. And the sons of Gomer. So actually, let's go and pull that up. Chronicles. 1 Chronicles. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz. You notice how it's spelled different, right? Like this spelling here is slightly different. Where was I? Where's my note? Genesis 10:3. Yeah, that's right. Notice how it's spelled different. I'm pointing something out with this. Ashkenaz, and then Genesis 10:3. Ashkenaz. See, it's spelled a little different. Is that two different people now all of a sudden? Just because it's spelled different? Because somebody a couple thousand years later misspelled this name, spelled it differently? All I'm trying to point out is that this is one of those things that people will use to try to twist the scripture around and say, oh, that's not the same. It's different. Leaving in here. They're already changing their names. Anyways, let me get back over here. My lips are dry. According to scripture and ancient geography, Ashkenaz and his descendants settled north of the Black Sea in regions that later included Scythia, Germany, and parts of Eastern Europe. Set ye up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her. Call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat, Mini, and Ashkenaz. Jeremiah 51:27. Jeremiah 51:27. Jeremiah 51:27. We're going to go back a hair. Let's go back. Let's just go back. Let's see. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I'll raise up against Babylon, and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, a destroying wind. So, in context, to kind of help you guys understand what this is talking about, let me find my other thing. But this is actually talking about in Jeremiah chapter 51. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind. This is when in time they are. This is after David. They're after King David. This is after they're now carried away into Babylon. So this book of Jeremiah takes place, 14, 28 generations around that. Not exactly, I'm not saying it's exactly 28 generations. It could have been 25 or 24 or 20. Didn't matter. What I'm pointing out is that during the time that the Israelites were carried away into Babylon, it's when this book, Jeremiah, was written. Or it's in that time period before Christ, on the chronological biblical order of things. Thus, and I will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in his brigadine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through her streets. All right, yep, that's right. That's what I thought it was. Yeah, so the Chaldeans, they're a Babylonian. They're from the Babylonian Empire, and they're Aramaic speaking, kind of like a Catholic community, like Aramaic / Catholic kind of mix. So like a combination of that. That's what they end up being today, but or in Jesus's time, not today, but in Jesus's time. But that's who the Chaldeans were. That's all I was pointing out with that. They that are thrust in her streets. For Israel, not current 1948, the state of Israel, but the Israel from Israel, like the Israelites from Jacob that were in Egypt, that came out of Egypt, built the temple, first temple, and were carried away into Babylon. It's that group of Israel have not been forsaken. For Israel had not been forsaken, for Judah of his God, of the Lord of hosts, through their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul, be not cut off in her iniquity. For this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. So what he's talking about is he's talking about the fall and the destruction of Babylon. Let's see, where was my reference in my notes here? Set ye up a standard in the world, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her, call together against her the kingdoms of Arad, Mini, and Ashkenaz. Why's my brain not braining right now? 51. Anyway, so now we got a little bit of context. We went back a little bit, get a little bit of context of what he's talking about, why he's talking about that. As Babylon hath caused the slain of Israel to fall, so at Babylon shall fall the slain of all the earth. Yea, that have escaped the sword, go away, stand not still, remember the Lord afar off, and let Jerusalem come into your mind. We are confounded because we have heard reproach. Shame hath covered our faces, for strangers are come into the sanctuaries of the Lord's house. Those strangers, what he's talking about, are the Ashkenazi people who come from the line of Magog, Gomer, and then come from the line of Japheth. And those people ended up in Babylon, and they were in Babylon at the same time that the Israelites were brought into Babylon. And they were in Babylon for 14 generations until they were left out of Babylon. And once the Israelites left out of Babylon, when Cyrus the Great frees them, lets them go home, and they leave Babylon and they go back and they rebuild the second temple. That's where we're at here in time. We're now still in Babylon. Those people, not the Israelites who have gone. It tells us that God was looking out for them. Though Babylon should mount up to heaven, and though she should fortify the height of her strength, yet from me shall spoilers come unto her, saith the Lord. A sound of cry cometh from Babylon, and great destruction from the land of the Chaldeans. Because the Lord has spoiled Babylon and destroyed out of her the great voice, when her ways do roar like great waters. A noise of their voice is uttered. All right, go back to my notes here. All right. So this shows the Ashkenazis became a recognized northern nation in ancient times, often associated with the lands of the north that later birthed European tribes. Historically, the name Ashkenaz became associated with the regions of Germany and surrounding nations. By the Middle Ages, and just to be clear, there were no actual Middle Ages. The Middle Ages that I'm referencing here are the first 200 years post millennial kingdom. So like right after the loosen, within the first couple hundred years is where we're at. It's the same time period that they're referring to when they call, or like when academics are referred to the Middle Ages. It's the same time period. It's the time period that takes place right after the loosing of Satan, when the only people that were left on earth were people that didn't quite buy into Jesus. At least that's the way I've come to believe on that. By the Middle Ages, Jewish scholars referred to Europe's northern lands, Germany, Poland, Russia, as Ashkenaz. That's why the Ashkenazi Jews, a group that emerged in Central and Eastern Europe, carry that name. It doesn't mean that they descended from Shem. It means they settled in the region originally inhabited by the sons of Japheth, particularly from the lines of Ashkenaz, son of Gomer. Gomer's family formed the northern Gentile nations, later known by names like the Cimmerians, the Celts, and the Germans. The word Ashkenaz itself, it's Hebrew for fire scattered or strong one. In the Little Season timeline, which is, in my mind, the most accurate one, Brother Mad Pats, what a blessing. Good to see you, my brother. Good to see you. And Miss Kim M, I seen you in the chat as well. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. The timeline, the sons of Japheth represent the Gentile word powers that dominate the earth after the millennial reign. Ashkenaz, representing the northern tribes, plays a role in the final deception of the nations, Gog and Magog. These are the nations that come from the four corners of the earth to surround the camp of the saints. That's in Revelation chapter 20, verse 8. Where people, remember, this isn't about trusting me. It's about trusting the word. And over here in Revelation chapter 20, verse 8, what in the world? It says, and shall go out to deceive the nations. All right, well, actually, blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection, and such the second death has no power. But they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive all the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. That's Revelation chapter 20, verse 8. So right here I've got, we got the father, Gomer from Japheth. The grandfather was Japheth, great grandfather be Noah. You had the northern territory, northern Europe, that's the Scythia, Germany, Poland, Russia. That's where all these people dwelled. That doesn't mean that they made up all of the people of those areas. I'm just saying that's just where they went to. That's where they dwelt or settled, so to speak. The biblical references is Genesis 10:3, 1 Chronicles, Jeremiah. Okay, we went over all that. All right. The Targums, ancient Aramaic translations of the Hebrew Bible. Well, first of all, so I looked into this for so many years. But you ever heard how You ever hear people say things like, well, the Bible wasn't written in English, it was written in Greek. And then people say, no, it wasn't, it was written in Aramaic, because that's the language that Jesus spoke. That's the language that everybody was speaking at the time. Well, how do you know that? Like, where did that come from? You know, where did we get that thought from? Well, we get it. They got it from the Targums. It's like a translation of the scripture that took place during the Byzantine Empire. Byzantine Empire came about shortly after something around the fall of or during the time of Babylon. And during that time, the Targums, when the Israelites were in Babylon for the 14 generations that they were carried away into Babylon, over the course of that 14 generations, they would end up no longer speaking like fluent Hebrew, like they were speaking like a broken Hebrew. And so it ended up transforming into Aramaic, because that was the language spoken by Cyrus the Great, or written. That was the original language by Cyrus the Great. After the Babylonian exile, many Jews no longer spoke Hebrew fluently, so the scriptures were translated into Aramaic, called the Targums. These weren't just translations, they also added commentary or explanatory glosses. Here's the key evidence. Targums Jonathan on Genesis 10:3. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, that is Germania, and Ripha, that is Francia, and Targamar, that is Asia Minor. Paraphrase clearly, but this is one of the earliest known associations between Ashkenaz and Germania. It reflects how the Jews in the early centuries after Christ, or in the year of our Lord, understood where the descendants of Japheth had settled. Both preserve similar identifications, though Onkelos is plainer. It just transliterates the name, while Pseudo-Jonathan gives the same interpretive gloss, linking Ashkenaz and Germania. It says what I'm showing is how they ended up in Germany to begin with. You know, so those that saw that's the Hitler's speech at the beginning of this stream. What's he talking about? Where do these people come from? Like, why are they in Germany? Well, what I'm trying to show you is how they got there. Rashi, Rabbi Shlomo Yitzhaki, I don't speak Yiddish. 11th century, one of the greatest Torah commentators, wrote on Genesis 10:3, Ashkenaz, this is Germany and the neighboring peoples. Remember, this dude is also one of these dudes, so of course he's going to claim whatever he's wanting to claim necessarily. Rashi lived in France, surrounded by European Jews, and reflected the medieval Jewish understanding that Ashkenaz meant the lands of the north, Germany and beyond. But that's not what it means. It's the name of Japheth's grandson. That's what Ashkenaz means. It doesn't really mean land or an area of land. Later Jewish writers, such as Benjamin of Tudela, 12th century, and others, consistently referred to the Germanic and Slavic regions as Eretz Ashkenaz, the land of Ashkenaz. That's why by the Middle Ages, Jews in those regions called themselves Ashkenazim, and their dialect became known as Yiddish, a German language written in Hebrew script. There's your connection to the Hebrew German language in Yiddish. Like, that's where Yiddish comes from. It's simply German, but it'd be like if we spoke Spanish, but we always wrote it out in English, and we didn't. Or if we spoke Chinese, but always wrote it out in English. It's still the same. You're making the sounds, like an F will still make an F sound, or S will still make an S sound. And so if you have a word in Chinese or Mandarin or anything like that that has an S sound, then you would just spell it with an S. It's what I'm talking about. That's what this is referring to right here. Later Jewish writers such as Benjamin Tudela and others. I'm sorry, back up. That's why in the Middle Ages, Jews in those regions called themselves Ashkenazim, and their dialect became known as Yiddish, a Germanic language written in Hebrew script. Spanglish. Yeah, that's right. All right, so modern biblical and linguistic scholars note the same line of development. In the Encyclopedia Judaica, Volume 3, in the Targum, and in the medieval rabbinic literature, Ashkenaz came to designate the region of Germany. Jewish Encyclopedia, 1906, the name Ashkenaz was applied by rabbinic writers to the Germanic lands, hence the term Ashkenazi, for the Jews of Germany and Northern Europe. In post-biblical tradition, Ashkenaz is identified with Germania. Now, I've said this a while back, and I want to repeat this phrase. In the view of God, you come from man. You come from your father. In the view of Satan, you come from land. I heard that years ago, and I've applied that logic to a lot of this stuff. Here we've got there Ashkenaz is applied. The name Ashkenaz was applied by rabbinic writers to the Germanic lands. Satan applies your origin to the earth and to land. In the Bible, God applies your origin to Adam and to God and to Noah and the sons through lines of blood, through the seed of your father. That's how God determines people. It's also what's on your heart, the spirit that leads you. What's leading you? Is it the spirit of self-serving? Is it the spirit of Antichrist? I mean, what is it? In post-biblical tradition, Ashkenaz is identified with Germania. All right, we went through that, but we went over all that. When you read old Jewish or rabbinic texts using Ashkenaz, it's important to separate two completely different meanings that developed over time. Ashkenaz in the Bible / Targums is a Gentile nation descended from Japheth. Ashkenazi in medieval Jewish usage, it's like during the Millennial Kingdom and on to now, Jewish communities living among the Germanic lands who trace their faith to Abraham, but their place of residence to the land of Ashkenaz. It's weird how they'll claim that they're from Abraham, yet Ashkenaz is clearly not from Abraham. Historically, the native peoples of Germany come from the Indo-European or Japhite branch, often grouped under the label Germanic tribes: Saxons, Franks, Bavarians, Alemanni, Goths, Vandals, Lombards, etc. These groups formed under modern ethnic Germans, Dutch, Scandinavians, and English peoples. They are not Ashkenazi Jews. They are descendants of the early Northern European tribes, pagan at first and then later Christianized. It's kind of like what I was explaining, how when in the history of us, the Great Deception, timeline deception video that I did the other day. In that video, I was explaining how the line of Japheth, what it does is it goes up the east coast of the Americas and then wraps around the north into the European lands. They were like very pagan and very ritualistic, they were not doing right at all. But it's the opposite, right? Because we're taught that it was these people that were civilized first, and they civilized the Vikings and the barbarians, when really it's the other way around. They would be like barbarians and Vikings, and then it wasn't until later on when the Hebrew nations, through Esau, the Edomites, and then the Israelites mixed in with them, that they become civilized and they become Christian. These groups formed modern ethnic Germans, Dutch, Scandinavians, and English peoples. They are not Ashkenazi Jews. They are descendants of the early Northern European tribes, pagan at first and later Christianized. Between about the 9th and 12th centuries AD, what this would be referring to are the times that we're taught, right? That's how you would find this if you were trying to find what I've got here, is all I'm saying. Jewish families from Italy and the Mediterranean, the early Sephardic world, moved north into Rhineland and adopted the name of their region, Ashkenaz. Ashkenazi Jews, Jews of Germany, Eastern Europe, Sephardic Jews, Jews of Spain, Portugal, and the Mediterranean, and then the Mizrahi Jews, Jews of the Middle East. All of them are still the same people. Like, they're still of the same seed of Japheth, the same Gomer. They just are living in those lands. They move into these lands during and after the millennial kingdom. Germanic ethnic peoples of Central and Northern Europe, descendants of Japheth to Gomer. Ashkenazi Jews were Jewish communities living among Germans who followed Judaism. Descendants of Japheth, Ashkenazi, who settled in the lands of Ashkenaz. Germans who are not Jewish, ethnic descendants of the ancient Germanic tribes, Japheth's line. Ashkenazi Jews are Israelites by faith and tradition who lived among those Germans and took the regional name. The Bible's Ashkenaz was a Japhite nation of the north. Centuries later, Jewish communities in those lands adopted his name, Ashkenaz, to describe their homeland. Therefore, the term Ashkenazi marks location and culture, not the native German bloodlines. German and Germanic peoples, ethnic national groups Central and Northern Europe, are Saxons, Franks, Bavarians. In the biblical table of nations, framing these map to framing, in a biblical table of nations framing, these map to Japheth's northern lines, Gomer and related. Ashkenazi Jews, a medieval Jewish community labeled for Jews living in the Germanic and later I'm just re-emphasizing this stuff so that you understand that how they got there, essentially, like why they're even there to begin with. It doesn't like Germany was the name of the land that they're calling that, but Germany is not the name of the people that live there. The people that lived in the land of Germania were either of Magog, they were of Javon or something. They were from one of those lines, but they were not all like. What I'm saying is that no one named their son Germania. It said, all right, your people from you will now be called Germania or Germans. That's not how that worked. The same as like there was no America, and then America had a son, and now he is an American, and now every son after that is an American. That's not how that works. It's not what this is. But the Table of Nations model the Germanic peoples belonging generally under Japheth, Gomer to Ashkenaz, but the term is geographic and tribal, not ethnic. Has nothing to do with the blood that's in their veins. 1,000 years later, Jewish communities that had migrated into Germanic lands adopted the old biblical name Ashkenaz for their new home and region. Now, this is all like 1800s era. This is what we're referring to, like right before the 1900s. You know, when the Russian czars were taken out, it was to get rid of the ones that come from the same line, but of Japheth, but not the Ashkenazis. They weren't trying to get rid of the Ashkenazis. The Russians were trying to shut them down. They were trying to run these guys out. They were trying to make them leave. And then they left Russia. They ended up in Germany. And then that's when Hitler comes in and he's like, hey, wait a minute. Like, I'm all right with you guys just like hanging out and stuff, but we're not going to serve you. You know, it's not up to the German people to work to provide for the Jewish people. And that's what he was saying in that speech that we listened to at the very beginning of this. It's the same thing that I'm saying now. You and me, as an American or of the West or of any country, are not supposed to put our energy and labor into our lives and into this world for Israel. Supporting Israel is not what the Bible is talking about. It has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. Standing with Israel goes back to the time when the Israelites were wandering for 40 years, where as long as they had faith in God, he was always going to help them. He was always going to support them when they would go into these little battles. Anyone who stands to Israel would fall in that way because of their faith in God. And it was a constant test of their faith that entire 40 years, and they just never did get it. But Ashkenaz, therefore, becomes a cultural label for Jews living in Germany and Eastern Europe. It doesn't mean those Jews were descended from Japheth or from the ancient Gentile Ashkenaz. It just simply meant that's where they lived. That's all that is. Okay. All right, and then I wanted to get back over here. At the end of it, it comes down to who are God's chosen people. Are these God's chosen people? Or like who? Like what does it even mean? Like is it even important to be God's chosen people? Well, interesting thing is, one, Jesus doesn't tell us that. What Jesus tells us is that his people are anyone who picks up their cross and follows him, which none of these Jews today have done so. But anyway, so in Acts, which book am I in? I think it's 22, something like that. Yeah, Acts 10, 30, Acts chapter 10. Where was I trying to read? Right here. And then Peter opened his mouth and said, "Of a truth, I perceive that God is no respecter of persons. God is no respecter of persons, but in every nation he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him." God's chosen people are the people that choose to serve God. People that seek the truth, accept the truth, whether you like it, don't like it, or not. You accept it because it's the truth, and you go with that. People that seek it out, that seek God, that fear God, that live righteously according to Jesus and according to God's way, according to the way of the truth. Those are the people that's who God's people are. There's no such thing as the Israelites are God's chosen people, and then God's going to save all of them no matter how terrible they are. They can't continue to kill people and just think that they're going to get blessed and saved by God. Like that doesn't happen. That's a falsehood of things. It's not real. As nothing to do with the reality of things. Okay, let's see what else. Where was I at? Matthew. What am I looking at, man? Chapter 6. Yep. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 23, "But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? If therefore the light that is in you is dark, how great is your darkness? For no man can serve two masters." No man can serve two masters. No man can serve two masters. Period. You are your own master if you are serving yourself. And you can't be serving Jesus and be selfish. You just can't. It's impossible. I don't care what people think about the world system. I don't care what you think about holding on to the life that you have. I don't care if you are unsure about your emotions, about how this makes you feel. At the end of the day, if you are self-serving, like putting yourself 100% of the time before anyone and everyone else, you are serving yourself. You're not serving Christ. You are serving yourself. You cannot serve two masters. It's just plain and simple. It cannot be done. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and man. Mammon. I don't know why it says mammon. What is that? Why did they change that? What does that mean? Oh, that's not what I mean in the Bible. There we go. Mammon. In the Bible, mammon is that's what I thought. That's what I thought. See, they're mixing in Aramaic. They're trying to mix in a little bit of Aramaic into this to try to throw you off. In the Bible, mammon is an Aramaic word for wealth or riches, but it is used to personify materialism and the pursuit of wealth as a rival to God. You cannot serve God in money. You can't serve God in your boss, your employer. You just can't. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't need to quit your job, right? Doesn't mean that you need to just stop working and stop doing a job. That's not what that means. That's not what I'm saying, and that's not what this means. You cannot serve God in mammon, wealth, money, material things. What this is saying is that what's on your heart is that when you go clock in at work today, what is the purpose of you being there? Today, we live in a world where there's no business, there's nowhere on earth where you could just go into town, fill up a grocery basket, and go home without paying somebody something. You gotta give people what they want, and they want money. And they want money so they can have all the money. Well, here, you can have it. You got it. You got all the money. Congratulations. Now you have all the money. Now what? Now what are you going to do with all that worldly wealth while the rest of us are out here surviving off of all the wonderful free food that all the good food that we done bought with all that money? But that's what that is. You can't serve God and man. You can't serve God and money. You can't have two masters, period. You just can't. So therefore I say to you, take no thought of your life, what you shall eat or what you shall drink, nor yet for the body what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body more than raiment? All this is first of all, this ain't talking to us right here. This is for us, not to us. Remember, for us, not to us. I'm making that clear because this is not saying that you should not care about your life. That's not what this is saying. Therefore, I say unto you, take no thought of your life. It's just saying, like, don't worry about your situation that you're in. Like, whatever you're going through, don't worry about it. God's got you. He's going to take care of that. He's going to take care of you. He's going to take care of that. What shall you eat? What shall you drink? Nor yet for your body, or anything. Like where are you going to get your food from? Don't worry about that. God's going to take care of that. Depending on you and your faith. It does depend on you, and it does depend on your faith. Let's see. That's right. We're going to give a little bit. I don't remember why I was in John. I was going to talk about John, something in John, I'm sure. There's a place for Jesus. Why did I pull this up? Jesus answered. That's a cool story right here. in John 18. There's a reason I pulled this up. I just don't remember why exactly. So it's neither here nor there. Where am I at here? Romans. Neither because they are the seed of Abraham. Oh yeah, here we go. I say, here we go. In Romans chapter 9, I say the truth in Christ, I lie not. My conscience always bearing me witness in the Holy Ghost, that I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart, for I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants, and the giving of the law and the service of God, and the promise. And I did see that, Kim, by the way. The channel Uncovering Our Hidden History has cool breakdowns on all of this. I'll check that out. I like breakdowns, like cool breakdowns. Whose are the fathers, of whom as concerning the flesh Christ came, who is over all, God blessed forever. Amen. Not as though the word have taken none effect, for they are not all Israel which are of Israel. Okay. They are not all Israel which are of Israel, right? So like I'm Rev, and my kids will be of me, of Rev, right? No. It doesn't matter that my son carries the same seed and blood in him that's in me. What matters is who he serves. So for they are not all Israel which are of Israel. If I serve Christ and my son serves himself, or he serves worldly measures or worldly people or money and riches and fame and all that other mess, if that's the case for my son, then he's not of me. We're not of the same. We're a different class now. For they are not all Israel which are of Israel. They are not all Israel which are... They are not all Israel that are of Israel. Behold, I'll make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. I think the Hodge twins has been watching my videos, by the way. I don't know if you guys are aware of them, but I think they've been either watching or listening, or at least somebody from their group has been listening. Because they've been eerily interested in all of this ever since I've started commenting on their stuff. They've even started started reading their Bibles. I don't know if you guys are aware of who the Hodge twins are, but if just in case you were ever curious, let's see. If you're just in case you're ever curious, this is who I'm talking about. These people here. Let's see. He had a pretty good one the other day. Yeah.
Me and my brother, we just recently, I would say over the last month, we just started reading the King James Version of the Bible. And I text you something, Joe. It's a couple images, and it's about Israel. And I always thought it was kind of, I don't know if sacrilegious is the word for it, for like a government to name an area that Israel, because that's something God named in the Bible to a family, Jacob's family and his descendants. Would you say that's sacrilegious, or am I saying this all wrong? For a government to give a land.
So like
Yeah, so he's got a good point there. You hear what he's saying? What he's talking about? Why do that? Why give that? Why name a land after a group of people? Especially when the group of people that you're naming that land after aren't even the same people that the land is named after. They're dwelling in the land that's not even theirs. It's not theirs, for one. Well, they can have it, in my mind. As far as I'm, as an American over here in America, you Israelites, of today in Israel, y'all could have that land in Israel. Would y'all, where y'all are at right now, if y'all want to keep that, I don't care. Now, the people that live over there that y'all took that from, they may disagree with that. They may want the land that you took from them back. That's between you and them. It has nothing to do with me over here in America. It has nothing to do with me at all. Not one bit whatsoever. Does it have anything to do with anyone in India? Does it have anything to do with anyone in China? Does it have anything to do with anyone in Africa? Does it have anything to do with anyone over in Australia? Whatever, if the Israelites are over there hanging out and doing whatever they're doing, they want to live there, fine. Whatever, doesn't bother me. Stay over there. Stay over there and quit coming over here and telling us how to live over here. I'm not trying to support you. I'm not trying to support, like, I'm not trying to bow to a man is what I'm not doing. And I'm not going to bow to a nation of people or nothing. I bow to Jesus. That's it. It's the only one that I'm going to bow to ever. I'll die homeless in a ditch somewhere before I end up bowing to men. It's just never going to happen. I'd rather be taken out of this world than to deal with that, to deal with the consequences of that. It's ridiculous, but I like listening to people like this. They're not part of our network as far as the Little Season community, right? They're not necessarily even Christian. I don't know. They might be Christian. I think they claim that they are Christian. It's kind of odd to me that people can be Christian and not even know what the Bible says. It's like putting your faith in men instead of faith in the Word. And that's where that ultimately comes from. It's like you don't, another thing is like this little "don't tread on me" snake. That came about after the loosening of Satan. And that came from the same people that they're talking about, the Jewish people. Jewish people came up with that phrase, "don't tread on me," and they came up with that because they serve Satan. They are of the synagogue that which serves Satan, but they are the synagogue of Satan. They that call themselves Jews, blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. That's where that comes from, by the way. Now, he don't know this, This twins dude, he don't know what that snake means. He thinks that has something to do with America. Like, don't step on America because we'll get you. We got vengeance. We big bad America. That's what people think when they see that phrase and that symbol, "don't tread on me," that it's talking about the might of America. But this dude does not know that. He has no idea that that's what that means, that this is talking about Satan, and don't step on Satan, because now Satan has been released, and it's in reference to the modern state of who the Jews are. That's what this snake represents. That's what that is. But he don't know that. This dude don't know that. How can he know that, right?
The Old Testament and all that.
Yeah,
I think that it's like the modern nation state was.
Well, I just asked that question. It's weird. How could he know that? Well, by looking into it, that's how. But most people look only as far as Google.
Set up to be essentially an atheistic, quasi-socialist, almost kind of a New World Order project. It was established under the British Empire and the British Empire's mandate.
Right.
But the British Empire was run by the Rothschilds more or less at that time. So this is pretty much a Rothschild project, in tandem with the rest of what's called the Atlanticist power block, which is just Western civilization basically at that time. So I think they wanted a geostrategic location to be in the Middle East, to be kind of a landing base for the West. And eventually I think what happened.
I'm not going to lie to you. I lost my freedom for almost a year because of the Satan verses. Not just that, but there's a couple other verses that I was proclaiming on a daily basis out there, Miss Anna. I know it's tough out there because they don't want us talking about this. I'm a little bitty fish. I'm a little bitty person in the big scheme of things when it comes to all this. So it's the only reason I'm still on here. But
is that it became very much a power block of its own. We had a lot of subversion of our government through operatives. Right. So, a big part of the Epstein-Maxwell stuff was that kind of compromise. So I don't think that the modern nation state of Israel is necessarily identical to what the Old Testament theological significance of Israel is. I think it's the same loose people group. There are still Jews. Like there's some people that think that there's no more Jews in regard to the Old Testament Jews. I do think they're the same people group. When you read the church fathers, they still continue after, rabbinic Judaism comes about in the 4th and 5th century. They still speak of Jews as Jews.
Yeah. So yeah, he's right. There are some people that are ethnically still Jew people. Like, to be clear, I don't know if he's going to say it or not. Jews come from the line of Judah.
But the idea that
they're primarily not just from the line of Judah. Like, that's not just the only requirement that they're from the line of Judah to be a Jew. The Jew comes from a cultural appropriation of Judaism. It's whenever they started practicing Judaism, which was kind of like a mixture of the Noahide laws and then some kind of additional laws that they ended up coming up with, kind of mixing two laws together. It's kind of like they take the parts from the Noahide laws and then the Mosaic laws, and then just kind of they kind of pull out of those two separate types of systems the law or system that they ended up kind of going with. I don't know anything about what she said on the Liberty Cult, but I will look that up. I'll look that up. I didn't know she's done anything on the Liberty Cult, but I'll check that out. Yeah, that would be I would love to hang out and talk with her on some of this stuff. Miss Kim, that would be cool. I've never watched her. You never watched her? That's Leaving Babylon. For those of you that don't know who that is. If you haven't watched Leaving Babylon, here's a link to her channel. She's one of our sisters here in the little season. That's right. We don't know what we don't know. I am gonna check out. I'm gonna see what I can find. She is one of us, but I'm gonna see what I can find on that, and you take a look at that. Let's go back over here and finish this up.
That the secular atheist nation state is the fulfillment of some promise is an evangelical mistake. So I'm sorry, that was a long ass answer to say that's a dumb evangelical mistake. No offense to evangelicals. No offense to evangelicals. But this comes out of dispensationalism and like the Scofield Study Bible, which was funded by Oxford and promoted in America to get people on board with, I believe, the new nation state of Israel.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So go ahead and bring that up. So I was reading this in the King James version, and it said, well, I don't want to read all of that. It's towards the bottom of that's highlighted. It said, that was fine, Joe. Keep it right there. The land which the Lord your God giveth thee, then ye shall return unto the land of your possession and enjoy it, which Moses the Lord's servant gave you on this side of Jordan toward the sun rising. Uh-huh. So
that's like giving a location of Israel.
Yeah.
The land, right?
So bring up the little map I sent you, Joe. So the sun comes up in the east, right? So based on that,
there's Jordan.
There's Jordan. Now, Israel's in the west. So I would think if what was mentioned in the King James version of the Bible, the area that God promised his chosen people, looked like it would probably be in Iraq or Saudi Arabia. Or am I reading this and seeing this wrong?
Well,
so he's not reading it or seeing it wrong. What he was reading there is a description. It's what I was explaining about the moon map and the maps. Speaking of Miss Madeline from Leaving Babylon, she goes over a lot of these maps. Y'all are right. She does a lot of cool research on old maps. And in those maps, it shows exactly what he's talking about or figuring out, whether he realizes what he's figuring out or not, is that everything's reversed. Every everything is reversed. You have to look at the maps in the orientation that they give you, or these descriptions don't work. You have to flip it around, right? So why would you want to do that? Why would you need to flip your maps, to invert the maps? Why would you want to invert it? You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't need to do that. But you have to do that in order to make what Scripture says make sense with what we're taught about where we are, who we are, where we're from, and all this other stuff. You have to flip it. You have to reverse it. And what he's pointing out is where he is figured out the same thing I've been telling you guys, that with the moon map and stuff, that everything is upside down and flipped. And so if Israel is where they say it is today, it's upside down. I mean, we're going to have to turn it upside down. But if we turn it upside down, then we have to reverse the flow of people and humanity over time. In other words, if you started out in point A and ended up in point B, but we're going to reverse it, what does that mean? It means you started out in point B and ended up in point A. It's the whole thing. East is west and west is east, north and south. It's all flipped around. It's all backwards. It's all done that way to hide the truth of things. But that's what they're figuring out is what I've been pointing out with that.
Think if what was mentioned in the King James version of the Bible, the area that God promised his chosen people, looked like it would probably be in Iraq or Saudi Arabia, or am I reading this and seeing this wrong?
Well, by the time of when David takes Zion, right, eventually when you get to the books of the Kings, you'll notice that David eventually takes Israel, or excuse me, takes Jerusalem, right? So Jerusalem, and this is something you might have not noticed when you're reading Genesis, it mentions the story of Melchizedek, right? Melchizedek was a Gentile priest in the land of Salem, right?
Okay.
This is way back in Abraham's day, right? So this is before they try to conquer the land. And if you fast forward to the time when David's beginning to conquer.
That's an interesting book, the Book of Melchizedek. Maybe one day we'll go over that book, maybe try to break it down. That's an interesting book. Melchizedek was a king that had came to Abraham and spent time with Abraham. That's pretty cool.
The city, the main city of Jerusalem, right? To take it back. People think that this is some sort of like land theft, but it was originally a Gentile righteous people group that worshiped the true God, that the Canaanites and the Amalekites and these other nations came in and took. So God is telling David and Joshua and these people to take that land back, right? But was originally a righteous Gentile nation because Melchizedek was a Gentile. Paul will describe this in Hebrews 7. So, I mean, that might sound like I'm getting off topic, but when you get to later on, no, I think that the cities in where we think of Israel today, they are the same locations, right? Like Jerusalem is Jerusalem.
So they can't be, though. That's the thing. Cannot be in the same location if we're going backwards, or if you're even moving forward. You know, people don't stay in one place forever. They move, they travel, they spread around. The world, though, is up for grabs. You know, it's under attack. The whole world is under this great deception, this strong delusion that things are not going to ever get better. Not without Christ. Not without Christ at the center of everyone's heart in the world. Things will never, ever get really better. Doesn't mean that every single person is going to experience the full wrath of the worst of life that life can offer them. Doesn't mean that everybody's going to struggle. Doesn't mean that everybody's going to necessarily struggle. All I'm saying is that in the big scheme of things, like the big overall complexity of life, this big span of time, between now and the time of our judgment, life is only going to progressively get worse. It's not going to progressively stop and then get good and then get bad and then good and then bad. Like, we're not going to have time to just sit around and just peace for 1,000 years or whatever. It just doesn't happen. We will experience a new world in a new time. All that comes at the end of the little season. When the little season ends isn't important. It's not nearly as important as knowing when it began. Knowing when it began, I feel like, is more important, because knowing when it's going to end doesn't change anything for you and me. We can't do anything about the end, and knowing when the end will come will only encourage people to act right. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't act right or be encouraged to act right, but it's the same principle as, like, if Jesus was standing in your face, standing in front of you, looking at you, standing face to face with you, and if Jesus said, "Do you believe in me or not? I'm standing right here," you would be a silly or stupid person to deny him in person. And so what we're dealing with is a time where we don't have that option. You deny Christ by your actions. You deny Christ by your ways, and you deny Christ by what's on your heart. What's on your heart is what leads people to Christ, and it's also what leads people away from Christ. It's kind of like a comment I left on Brother Tyler Woods' channel, one of his videos. The hardest part of waking up is speaking up. It's saying the things that need to be said. It's talking about the uncomfortable topics, the uncomfortable subjects. Talking about the Israelites, talking about the Jews. Oh, they might keep me from making money. They might shut my YouTube channel down. They may take me out and kill me, right? The worst case scenario, I may never get a job again. I may end up homeless and living on the streets, talking to you guys every few months when I get enough money to pay $50 for a phone bill or whatever. I may end up in the worst case scenario. But at the end of the day, God is in front. He's leading the way. Jesus is my guide. Jesus is my mentor and my teacher. And as long as I lean on Christ and I lean on Scripture, I'll never be misled, and I'll always be okay. I may not know what tomorrow is going to bring. I may not know what my life is going to be like next week or tomorrow. But I know through fellowship, through belief, through understanding, and through the following of Christ and our King Jesus and God, we will, things will always be well, always be good, Hey, Brother James, good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. The giant tree, thanks for that. Thanks. Blessings to everyone that came in here. Ooh, Miss Nancy, saved by Jesus. Good to see you. Hello there, friends of Christ. I pray you're all well. Hugs. Amen. 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 What a wonderful community. The Little Season Fellowship, the Little Season community, and group of fine Christians is what you are. Beautiful, wonderful servants of the Lord. Beautiful souls. And there may not be very many of us in the world, but we are here and we're doing the best we can. We're just trying to survive. I finally hit the bottom end of my financial barrel, and now it's time to hopefully in the next day or so I'll be able to put a couple applications in and get hired on somewhere. Once I start working, everything will be different for me. My life will change again. Things will get back on track. Here's the interesting thing. My life is on track whether I work and do the things I want to do or not. Just because life isn't always easy or the best it can be for you doesn't mean you're not on the right path. And just because everything is going good for you and everything is easy doesn't mean you're on the right path. But it also doesn't mean you're on the wrong path just because life is easy, and it doesn't mean you're on the wrong path just because life is hard. The path you're on ultimately is determined by the circumstances of the time that you're in. We're in the little season, and it is tough. It's a shame. I look at Discord, and just over the last 2 months, 3 months. It's gone from one extreme to the other. And what I mean is that people all over the world and within this community are struggling hard. It's almost to the point where we're just about going to have to say, you know what, the heck with it, and just pack up our stuff and all move out to the Appalachian Mountains somewhere or something, and just go live off the wild land. We may all end up having to do that. It may end up coming down to that, right? But then again, you might be paying that mortgage note for the last time, and then Jesus comes that next day, and then whatever, you just paid all your mortgage for nothing, even though it didn't matter because Jesus come, right? What I'm saying is that whatever life has to bring and offer you, always know that Christ is King, and God loves you. God will be there, provide, support you, take care of you, help you out. When faith is righteous, when faith is right. That is pretty much all I got for you guys this evening. I kind of tried to speak a little quicker on some of this stuff. I noticed that a lot of you guys will have made mention that you listen to me on 1.5 or even at 2.0 speed or 2 times speed. I try to speak a little quicker, but the thing is, I really, really do try to say the right words. Like, I really try to be mindful of what I'm thinking about and what I'm saying. I don't want to say things the wrong way intentionally, or just like carelessly or loosely. But I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to say things that aren't right. Just like I'm going to read tonight in my Bible. And as I'm going through it, I'm going to find something that contradicts something I already thought I figured out. And I might have to go and relearn that and deal with that. But yeah, sometimes I'll make mistakes, but that's the process of learning. It's the trial by error. And yet, we live in a world today where, we judge people for the wrong things. We criticize for the wrong things. And it's all because our hearts are led by the wrong things. We live in a world of hypocrite stereotypes and a bunch of religious dogma and political nuances. And the only way to really escape all of that is to give it up. The issue with giving up the world as we know it today, it comes from the understanding that if you do so, we lose everything that we have. I'm going to lose these monitors, potentially. I'm going to lose this computer, this house, all the things I have. In other words, yeah, whatever. Take it all away. Take everything away, and then we rebuild and start over. We have something new. But what we rebuild is long-lasting and eternal. Problem is, we've been there, done that many times. My History of Us series, I'm kind of breaking that down and showing that. My Bible study series, we kind of go through, explain that, and break that down. Other content creators that are discussing the same topics and field of study, they're also showing that. Over time, everything is, gone from one hand to the other. We've had many resets, but what we are dealing with is something a little bit different. It's a combination of all errors all at once. I think every lie ever told is believed right now in some form. There are some people that think that there are Anunnaki that are going to come here and take them out on some spaceship. There are people that believe in grays, the aliens, alien grays and stuff like that. There are wild, fanciful beliefs all over the world. Everybody believes. But none of us share a common belief. Not as a whole, not yet. Of course, I think that's coming real soon. And I think it's coming within the next couple of years, where we all believe the same thing, whether we understand it the same or not, know it the same or not. We all have a shared belief. And then when that shared belief comes or happens, that's when it'll be happening at the same time as this war, this world war, this Gog and Magog, the final end battle of mankind, the judgment on earth when Jesus comes and fire from heaven comes down and consumes them all. You ever notice how when it tells us, though, in Revelation chapter 20, I'm going to go back and look that up. I just wanted to mention this one more time. Come on now. Revelation 20. You ever notice, though, where it's talking about blessed and holy is thee that take part in the first resurrection, on such the second death has no power? I know this isn't a popular opinion. And this is an opinion of mine. It's an opinion of mine built on a belief that I have about it. I think all the saints died. I think everybody died. I think everybody that was alive during that millennial kingdom died legitimately, like they're in the flesh, like their fleshly bodies died at some point. And I think that the loosening of Satan began when the last saint died, sometime around that. When the last saint died is when the loosening of Satan actually happened. And so what I'm saying is that even though they had a second death, it still has no power over them. Their consciousness, their spirit, their mind, all that still keeps living, keeps going, and now they're reigning from above in heaven with Christ until He comes down in His holy city of Jerusalem. But that's only after the end, at the end of the little season, at the end of it. That's what that is. Yeah, just so you can see what I'm looking at here. I should have pulled this up. Blessed and holy is he that takes part in the first resurrection, and on such the second death has no power. I know people don't want to think that the saints can die or would die, but it tells us in Scripture clearly that flesh cannot inherit the kingdom of God. Flesh cannot inherit the kingdom of God. The second death that has no power over them just simply has to do with their flesh. It has nothing to do with their spirit. Their spirit is unaffected by the second death. There will be no hell. There will be no lake of fire for them. It'll just be eternal existence with Christ. They shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with Him 1,000 years. So that was their 1,000 years, and then after that 1,000 years, they passed on or died. And I think when they died is when the 1,000 years were expired, and then later Satan was loosed out of his prison, and then he went out to deceive the nations, which he's doing. He's in work doing that right now as we speak. Even after I stop making YouTube videos, he will still be working on gathering his army. What this army is going to be made of is yet to be seen. I don't know. I think someone asked that earlier. I don't know if it's going to be made of like nanotech or not. I have a suspicion that just as many people live underground as they do above ground. It's just that you and I will never be made known or aware of that. Just like, if I'm right about that, and there are billions of people living underground, I think that those people living underground probably don't even believe there's an above ground. They probably don't even know that there's people up here. Just like us today, we don't even know what's on the other side of the ice wall or who lives out there. But I have this strong suspicion that there are just as many, or pretty close, just as many people underground, living currently underground, living full lives like you and me above ground, but they're just living underground, living life underground. And and it could be that they come out, and when they do come above ground, it does spark that final battle, that final war. But afterwards, we saw that we get to see what John saw, a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and heaven fled away, and there was found no place in them. I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life, and the dead were judged out of those things which are written in the books according to their works. This is all coming up next. I don't know that we're gonna like be physically walking around witnessing this stuff as it's happening. I'm not exactly sure what our state of being will be when all this stuff starts happening. But that's what we have to look forward to. What we don't have to look forward to is a tribulation period. We don't have to worry about a mark of the beast or getting killed for Jesus' name's sake. Yes, I know, unfortunately, on the other side of the world, there are places where people are killed for believing in Jesus or for being a Christian. But what tribulation that would apply to everyone. That's what I think. But yeah, I'll get into that another day, Miss Anna. But yeah, I do believe that I have a suspicion. Let me put it that way, that there are just as many people living underground as there are people living above ground. It's part of that whole as above, so below stuff. That's where all that comes from. But, yep. Anyhow, that's pretty much it. That's all I have for you guys this evening. I don't think I'm going to be able to get a History of Us episode out or video out this week yet or not. This week I am trying to get rid of some stuff so that I can maybe make a little bit extra. I just need to get by another week or so. Golly, this work thing is wearing me out, and I'll be glad when I get through this little trial and a trial that I'm having to go through right now. But eventually, I'll be out of this, and then I can get back to putting some more weight on. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I don't really wear short sleeves, but right now, I mean, it's not that I don't want to ever wear them. I've lost probably 30 pounds in the last 2 months. I've lost a lot of weight, not by choice. I just am doing the best I can to survive and get by. But life is hard sometimes, and I'm not complaining. Guys, I'm not complaining about it. Yeah, I mean, maybe a little complaint. Like, I don't like that it's hard, right? But I still am okay. Like, I'm still alive. Until the day that I can't communicate with anyone, I'm always trying to look for the best route in life to take, I guess. I'm not just gonna lay down and cry every night just because life is tough. I've lost a lot of weight, and I don't like that I've lost so much weight, but I will be putting on some weight again once I start back working and making money and getting going again. Things will get better, just like with all of you that are having hard times. Life will get better. It really will. Hey, thank you for that, Brother Barry. You didn't have to do that. Appreciate that. I know you're going to, I know you're headed over to India, and so I'm not trying to take from you there. I appreciate that, though. Thank you so much, Brother Barry. What a blessing. What a blessing. What a blessing. Yeah, I do need to start eating some tacos. But I've got some plans. I'm going to work on things. I've got some things that I've been working on. I'm not just been sitting here, without work, doing nothing. I have been avid in looking for opportunities. And, of course, they'll come. Just like a bird, every day, but the bird does not worry about whether or not it's going to have food today or not. The bird just knows that God will provide and goes and eats when it gets hungry. It says, "Oh, right there, a worm." And it's the same with us, or at least it can be. Yeah, that's worth noting right there, Miss Trish Clark. If I had a way over there right now, I'd come over next door and visit you, and we'd I'd love to have a Taco Tuesday night with you. I think it's Wednesday right now, but yeah, Taco Tuesday would be good. I love you too, Brother Barry. Love you too. You've learned so much. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. It does. Yeah, speaking of that, that's a good question. I asked that the other day, Miss Linda, and Miss Krista is not doing the best that she can be doing right now. She's having a hard time as well. Her health is is really doing, it's really putting her through the ringer at the moment. So please keep her in your prayers and in your hearts and mind. And anyone else that's going through hard times. I know Miss Donica Tibbetts is struggling a little bit, with their life and what they've got going on. Brother Mad Pax has had some struggles with his life. We've got Brother Robert Allen over here. He's seeking out the Lord in his way, and everybody has their own little trials. We all are going through stuff, and like I said, it's not like it's going to necessarily get just better. Like there's no scenario where we're all just sitting around a campfire, cozy, warm, loving life, and just not having to worry about nothing. Everything's taken care of. We're always going to have to be mindful and aware of our situation and what's going on. And we're always going to have to deal with those struggles. And we're going to have to deal with these struggles as long as we're dealing with people or allowing people to control us and manipulate us and mess with us, really. But anyways, we don't have much time left, I don't feel like. And what I mean is, like, not when I say end, I'm not saying like it's the end blank screen and then nothing else. It's like the end of life as we know it. I think we don't have much time. I think we really are the last generation. I just kind of wish I was way older, because if I were way older, that would mean we're a lot closer to this season finale, so to speak. But we're approaching the season finale of the last of the little season. The very last episode of the little season. We're almost there. I think we really are. So, yeah, it may get a little harder. It may get a little tough, but it's not going to be forever, and that's the blessing, right? It's the beauty. We get to live for all eternity. We get to experience 1,000 years, 1,000 times plus. We just get to keep on keeping on, and that's the beauty of all of it. Look, you guys are an amazing group of people. I love each and every one of you. What a blessing to be a part of this community. Thank you again, Brother Barry Burkholder. You are an amazing brother in Christ. Love you a lot. I can't wait to hear about your experience over in India, and my prayers will be for you as you travel. Miss Trish, thank you as always, and for being here and being such a wonderful friend, and always being an ear, always being a springboard for me when I need to share ideas. And Miss Kim M, we all need a screen fast. Yes, yeah, we probably do. You're right. We probably do need a screen fast. Yep. Absolutely, Miss Nancy. I wouldn't have guessed you were 63. No, I wouldn't have guessed that at all. I would not have guessed that. That's amazing. Yeah, so you guys really are an amazing group of people. I love each and every one of you. The Discord community is amazing and still wonderful, stays wonderful. You guys are always wonderful. Whenever I'm in other people's chats and I see you guys in there, you are always representing it's an amazing, it's amazing. It really is. In the worst of the worst situations that we could be in, the worst case scenario we can be in today, we can say one thing for certain. Of all the people on earth, we're part of the best group, period, hands down. And they can make a whole country named after us if they want to. I'm okay with that. The Discord, I don't think my Discord has been hacked. Discord, like the main servers and stuff, they may have. That might have had something to do with that. But as far as I know, no. I don't think it was hacked or anything like that. But I am going to shut this down. I think we're done for this evening. I think I went over everything that I wanted to go over with you guys as far as all this goes for tonight's presentation. I'll try to put together some more stuff and see about going live again. I'm not necessarily sticking to a particular set schedule, but you can kind of bet that it'll be around the same time, around 4 or 5 in the afternoon. I like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and rather than coming on here 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night, staying up pretty late. But then again, just so you guys are aware, I have not shut down any ideas or plans that I've had or have talked about as far as the Truth Unfiltered network or the Truth Unfiltered community or any of that. None of that stopped. It's just simply we're not to certain points yet in that. But I'm still wanting to do more with this channel and more with the network and more with this community. And what that means is that at a certain point, I'm going to start doing shows on different platforms. Whereas I know I can live stream to YouTube, right? Like I know I can live stream on YouTube and put videos on YouTube. I also know that I can stream out to multiple platforms. The only issue with that is I can't do it the way I want to do it until I get to like a certain amount of subscribers on each platform. So like on Facebook, Truth Unfiltered on Facebook, I gotta have 1,000 subscribers on Facebook to be able to to be able to stream through that. And I could do it like through my phone or just through Facebook, but what I'm saying is like I can't multi-stream on YouTube and all these other platforms the way I want to do it until I get a certain number of subscribers on each platform. Probably the next one that I will end up going live on, the next platform I'm probably going to focus on is probably Twitch. And I'm not really sure, but maybe Twitch. So what I'm saying is that for those of you that like to follow me and listen to me and hang out with me, whenever I do start going live more regular on these other platforms, I'll let you guys know. You guys can come over there and watch me over there and hang out with me over there as well. And we're just I want to kind of build the audience here. Not so much for me, but so much as for all the other people that don't watch us in lives on YouTube. Some people do like Twitch, some people do like Rumble, and some people do like other platforms. So the only way to do it is to get out there and do it. And I do have plans for that, and one day, soon. And I've just right now I've got to kind of get reorganized with my work situation, get all that handled. Once I get all that handled, then I'll know more for certain on some dates and stuff like that. Other than that, that's pretty much all I have as far as all that goes. If you guys have any prayer requests, would like to leave them, and leave a comment or leave, right now you can leave it in the live chat. But for those of you that are coming in later on when the live chat is ended, if you got any prayer requests or anything like that you'd like us to address and pray over, please leave a comment and let us know what you got going on. Or you don't even have to let us know what you got going on. Just say, hey, I'd like prayers, like a prayer. And I personally pray every day for all of you. So I will continue to do that, and hopefully you guys will continue to do that as well. I love each and every one of you. Thank you guys for being here. You are the best group of people on the planet. I do mean that. I say it all the time, and I'll say it till it's no longer true. I don't think we have that problem. Thank you guys. You're very amazing. Thank you. You're awesome, Anna. Thank you guys for being here. Much love. Take care, and we will see y'all next time.
When shadows fall and fear surrounds, your mercy lifts me from the ground. You are the rock that cannot fail, the refuge found beyond the veil. You're my strong tower in the little season storm, my hiding place where I am reborn. The nations tremble, but I will not break, for I Nations